In recent years, the gut microbiome has become a buzzword in health and wellness circles, with claims that it can influence everything from weight loss to mental health. But are we placing too much hope in this microscopic world inside us, or is it the hype well-founded? Honestly, I drank so much kombucha trying to fix my gut health, now I'm 90% fermented and still 100% confused. In today's video, we're diving into the science behind the gut microbiome to separate the facts from fiction. Can our gut bacteria really hold the key to better health, or are we overestimating its power? And if you're watching this video on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Let's explore this fascinating topic together. So, what exactly is the gut microbiome? Well, it's not just bacteria, it's a whole ecosystem living inside us, made up of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and other microorganisms. Now, you'd think by now we'd have figured out what a healthy gut should look like, right? Actually not quite. There's still no consensus on what the perfect gut microbiota is. What we know, though, is that having a diverse microbiome is generally a good sign. The more variety, the better it seems to be at covering essential functions. Kind of like having a strong, diverse team working together. Think of it like this. If your gut microbiome is a theme, you don't just want one superstar player. You need a full roster of talents to keep things running smoothly. And that's what diversity does. It helps make sure your gut has all the right players in place. But here's the kicker. No one knows exactly what the perfect team looks like. We're still figuring out how the game plan works. The Firmicutes to Bacteroidetes ratio. Now, that's a term you might have come across in discussions about gut health and obesity. Well, essentially, these are two major groups of bacteria in our gut, and some studies have suggested that having more Firmicutes compared to Bacteroidetes might be linked to weight gain or obesity. Sounds simple enough, right? More Firmicutes, higher risk of obesity. Well, not so fast. The reality is the research on this is still pretty contradictory. Some studies do show a connection between a higher Firmicutes to Bacteroidetes ratio and obesity, but other studies don't find this link at all. And to make things even more confusing, some research even suggests that this ratio can vary widely depending on factors like diet, age, or even geography. So, while the Firmicutes to Bacteroidetes ratio might play a role in how we metabolize food, it's far from a clear-cut answer to the obesity puzzle. Scientists are still trying to figure out exactly what this means and whether it's the cause, the effect, or maybe just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Before we dive deeper into gut microbiome research, let's take a step back and talk a bit about taxonomy, the science of classifying living things. This might sound a bit technical and boring, but don't worry, it's actually pretty fascinating, and it's a good time to bring it up, since I live in Sweden, the birthplace of Carl Linnaeus, the father of modern taxonomy. Linnaeus was the one who laid the groundwork for how we organize and name all living organisms, a system still used today. Now, on the screen you'll see a table that breaks down the different levels of classification. We start broad with kingdom, then move down to phylum, class, order, family, genus, and finally species, which is the most specific level. Each rank helps us understand where an organism fits into the broader tree of life. As an example, let's take Escherichia coli, or E. coli for short. It's a species that belongs to the genus Escherichia, which groups together closely related species. Going up to one level, it's part of the family Enterobacteriaceae, which includes other bacteria that live in the gut. If we zoom out a bit more, it's in the order Enterobacterales, and even higher in the class Gamma Proteobacteria. At the top of the hierarchy, E. coli belongs to the kingdom Eubacteria, essentially all the true bacteria. So, from kingdom to species, you can see how each level becomes more specific as we get closer to identifying the organism itself. The structure might seem a bit academic, but it's essential when we talk about different bacteria in the gut. Knowing where a bacterium sits in this system helps us understand how it might behave, interact with other microbes, and affect our health. And while E. coli is just one example, the same system applies to all the microorganisms that call our gut home. When we talk about the gut microbiome, and especially when we hear about things like the Firmicutes to Bacteroidetes ratio, it can seem like a simple formula. More Firmicutes equals more weight gain, more Bacteroidetes equal better health. But taxonomy actually shows us that things are far more complicated than they first appear. Bacteria within the same phylum can have completely different functionalities. Just because two bacteria belong to the same big group doesn't mean they behave the same way. There's a huge genomic variation even between bacteria in the same genus. So, for example, not all strains of Bacteroides or Prevotella have the same effects on our health. Some strains might be completely harmless, while others would have toxigenic potential. Let's take a closer look at the Firmicutes phylum as an example. Several families belong to this group, and as you can see, their effects on our health vary significantly. Lactobacilliaceae are considered probiotics, great for gut health. On the other hand, Clostridiaceae include some notorious pathogens. Then we have groups like Streptococcaceae and Enterococcaceae, which can be both helpful and harmful depending on the strain. And if we shift to the Bacteroidetes phylum, again the diversity is striking. The Bacteroidaceae family includes species that are both pathogenic and non-pathogenic. Prevotellaceae, on the other hand, are generally non-pathogenic, while families like Porphyromonadaceae and Flavobacteriaceae contain known pathogens. So, when we hear about broad ratios like the Firmicutes to Bacteroidetes, we need to remember it's just one piece of a much larger puzzle. The key is not just the ratio, but which bacteria are present and what they're actually doing in our gut. It's this diversity and complexity that make understanding the microbiome so challenging, but also so exciting. And that wraps up the first part of our deep dive into the gut microbiome. I hope you're starting to see just how complex and fascinating the topic really is. In the next video, I'll share the results of a gut microbiome test I recently took and walk you through what we can and can't learn from it. So be sure to keep an eye on my LinkedIn profile and on my YouTube channel for updates. And if you found this video helpful, please share it with other people. And if you're watching it on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the little bell so you'll be notified every time I post a new video. Thanks for watching today, and see you soon.